What up? I'm Jason, the Foolish Cook. Now let me ask you a personal philosophical question. What do you think of when you hear Fiesta chicken Kiev and honey drizzle cake? Is it possibly award-winning? How about microwavable? Let me introduce you to the guide to microwave cooking and recipe book. Before we jump into the recipes, I want to take a step back in time to 1977 when this book was released and get in the mindset. Microwaves are a new technology in the kitchen for commercial use, for use in the home. You know, I think now it's so easy to think about the microwave as like, it doesn't produce good results. I mean, the only thing that comes to mind for me personally when I think about a microwave is like reheating leftovers. I'm gonna try to drop my bias. I'm gonna try to really go into these recipes with an open mind, because maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe they're gonna be spectacular. Or they'll suck. That's possible. That's possible. Yeah. The recipe that we're gonna start with is the honey drizzle cake. To start, we're going to go in with 5 egg whites, and we are going to whisk those. Now that the egg whites are starting to get foamy, we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of sugar. We're gonna also add an 1/8 teaspoon of salt, so just a kiss. Now, I'll be honest, we're gonna not pull what we did last time, and I'm going to actually turn it off as I lift it. So we're gonna take these egg whites out of our bowl. Next, we're going to add our 5 egg yolks from our separated eggs. Then we're going to add 1/2 cup of sugar. Last, we're gonna add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. That is looking pretty thick and pale, if you ask me. Our next step is to blend 1.5 cups of fine vanilla wafer crumbs. Now, this is where I have a pretty big question mark. Are we talking vanilla wafers? This is what I originally was thinking, but then at the grocery store, I also saw vanilla wafers. I feel like these used to be popular when I was a youngin' 5 years ago, because I'm 26. And this is what I would think it is. I'm gonna go with my gut. I think it's meant to be these. Our next step is to take 1.5 cups of pecans. Then we're gonna do 1.5 cups of hopefully our right vanilla wafers. And lastly, we have 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. And the recipe calls, oh, shoot, I forgot this had vanilla in it first. And the recipe just calls for us to blend it. Let me double check. It just says blend pecans, wafer crumbs, baking powder, and cinnamon, sprinkle over top. It doesn't say how coarse to go. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge pecan in dessert fan, so I think I'm gonna go pretty fine with this. This is blending as well as I expected, which is terrible. I may have took this too far. It almost looks like some of the almonds are turning into almond butter. Maybe that'll be delicious. Our last step is to fold in all the ingredients together. Oh, yeah, we definitely have the start of some pecan butter. I might have taken that a little too far. Oh no. I think our pecan mixture might be a little too thick to fold in super cleanly here. Okay, we have our folded pecan and egg white mixture. Our last step is to just transfer our whipped egg and vanilla wafer mixture into a greased microwave safe container. I have to imagine this is going to be an absolute disaster getting out of our dish. So we're going to try to grease this very thoroughly. We are going to transfer our whipped mixture into it. There's no way this is going to come out clean. It mentions that all the timing in the cookbook are for a 675 watt microwave, and I have a 1,000 watt microwave. So let me do some quick calculations. According to Google, we need to adjust our microwave to 70% power, and we should be in the ballpark of 675 watts. And I think we can keep the same cook times then. So for this cake, it wants us to microwave for 8 to 10 minutes, rotating halfway through, which my microwave obviously rotates all the time, so we don't need to worry about it. For the honey drizzle, we are going to add 1.5 cups of water, 1.5 cups of sugar, and 2/3 cup honey. We are then going to microwave this for 8 minutes. This looks about how you would expect, maybe. It did obliterate my microwave. As you can see, wow, it really overflowed. I will say the very top layer seems to be a little bit wet, but I think the rest of the cake is cooked through. So what I'm going to do is set this aside and cook our honey syrup. We have our completed cake, completed drizzle. I'll be honest, the ratios have to be, let me double check the recipe, honestly. The ratios have to be off because this is almost 4 cups of honey syrup for a little baby cake. I can't imagine. Let's double check. 1.5 cups water, 1.5 cups sugar, 2 1/3 cup honey. All right, well, you know, let's trust the process. I think let's start by turning out our cake. Oh no. Yeah, that's about what I expected. Okay. Yeah, okay, so we have what? Maybe like 1/6 of our cake stuck to the bottom. Doesn't look super appetizing. It's got some like wet spots, it looks like, in the corner. I just want to do a quick comparison. We have almost 4 cups of honey drizzle to be fair, we lost a little bit of cake, but this would be floating in this amount of drizzle. I don't think I'm gonna go with all of it, but let's see how well it soaks it up pretty nice. I assume this is meant to be drowning? That can't be right. Let me just check. We've used maybe a cup, and we're already have a nice puddle in the bottom. I think we're gonna run with that, and let's go on to the Fiesta chicken Kiev. This recipe calls for 4 chicken breasts, and then everything is based on 4 chicken breasts. I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna be honest, that's still gonna be too much, but that's okay. So to start, we're gonna take 2 chicken breasts. This says split, skinned, and boned. I assume split means butterflied. So let's start by butterflying our first chicken breast. Now that we have our 2 chicken breasts butterflied, we are going to add them to, well, we're gonna pound them out so we can get an even thickness. And I'm just gonna do that by adding them to a Ziploc bag. And I don't know where my meat mallet is, so we have this nifty pan. For the filling of our Fiesta chicken Kiev, we're going to take a tablespoon and a half of butter. Next, we're going to take a tablespoon and a half of Old English style sharp cheese spread. I had to do some digging to find this. I'll be honest, I'm 99% sure this is just Cheese Whiz, not in a can. But we're going in with a tablespoon and a half. This is a teaspoon of minced onion, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of MSG. And then we're going to combine this. Next, we're gonna take about a half a cup of cheese crackers. I obviously had to go Cheez-Its. And then about a tablespoon of taco seasoning. And we are going to crush these up. Our last step is assembly. We've got our butterflied chicken, some melted butter, our Old English style cheese spread mixture, Cheez-Its and taco seasoning, and then our final dish. So the recipe calls out placing a small portion of mixture at one end of each chicken piece, divided evenly. Roll up each piece, tucking in the ends to completely enclose filling. Fasten with toothpicks. Now, I'll be honest, this might work. Let's commit. This cheese filling definitely has the consistency of Cheese Whiz. We need to fasten with toothpicks, which is very true. We definitely need to fasten this with toothpicks. Oh. This is going downhill so fast. All right, okay, let's see. Kind of have a chicken Kiev shape here. So next step is we're gonna coat in butter. This is not the right container to coat this in melted butter, but we're gonna commit. And then we are going to, oh no, we're losing cheese filling. Wow, and this needs to get, I feel like, packed like a little baseball. Maybe that's the key. Let's go this side up. Final step is to cover with parchment paper, which I've got a little baby piece of parchment paper. And then we are going to microwave for 10 to 12 minutes. I'll obviously be probing these to make sure that the chicken breast reaches doneness. Let's see how they turn out. It is time for probably what nobody has been waiting for. To taste this. I'll be honest, when I first read this recipe, I was like, man, maybe there's some potential here. Maybe I'll be surprised. Looking at this plate of food is not giving me that feeling. Okay, let's do a smaller bite. The honey drizzle cake is actually kind of nice. It incredibly unappealing. It's got like some soggy corners, but the flavor is, man, it's actually, if you blindfolded me and fed this to me, I wouldn't be upset. It's delicious. It's got very like a subtle like vanilla flavor. The texture is not quite as light as I had expected, but it's not, it's like in between a cake and maybe a fluffy brownie. And I don't know why I went for the cake first. Well, let's be real. I do know why I went for the cake first. I think eating microwaved chicken is a little off-putting. but here we are. I'm also 99% sure that almost all of the chicken Kiev filling came out in the microwave. So let's try our first bite. Oh gosh. Okay, yep. Can confirm there is zero filling. And okay, let me backtrack before I take my first bite. The filling coming out is potentially user error. All right, let's stop delaying. The chicken is incredibly dry. The outside texture is pure mush. And I don't think I got any, you know what? Let me dig a little filling out. So I scraped a little bit of the filling out of the pan. Let's try one more bite with just a little filling on it. That filling is, oh, terrible. I think microwaved Cheese Whiz is atrocious. Yeah, chicken super dry, crust completely soggy, filling completely leaked out, which again, is probably user error.